Welcome, welcome. You listen to 360 Info. I'm your host, Antonio. To manipulate consciousness is to manipulate possibilities. To manipulate possibilities is to manipulate power. Welcome, welcome to the show this morning. It looked kind of dreary outside, but guess what? We're going to light you up with a little bit of information. I got it, and I have to report it. Today, I'm going to officially announce to our listeners on the radio, guess what? That I have finally launched my new YouTube channel. Yeah, I wish we had an applause background. Yay! Yes, it's called The Journey with Antonio. So we want all you travelers to go to The Journey with Antonio and take this ride with me. You know, I'll be bringing you all the hot, uncut interviews of all of my contacts around the country and some outside of the country. We're going to be talking about some good stuff and having a conversation, and not an interview, a conversation to bring you some great information. So go to The Journey. Come on this journey with me, with Antonio, to my new YouTube channel. And I just had my first interview with Dr. T. Owens Moore. So go check that out. Do me a favor. Go check that out. Hit the subscribe button and hit the notification button. So come on, guys. Yeah, come on and take this journey with me. It's going to be a great journey. Trust me,
I am.
When I say that, it's going to be real good. And so, in the remote studio, we got Brother Vince. Is Brother Vince on the line?
Yes, he is.
Okay. All right.
Yes, indeed. So, what's happening today, Larchmere Arts?
Well,
Go ahead, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you asking me. Go ahead.
Your guest online.
Yes. Well, we heard about the journey, so we're going to be waiting with, as they say, bated breath to check out my man's new YouTube channel and the interview with T. Owens Moore and all the other illustrious guests that you've brought to us on 360 Info Network over the years. I'm sure it's going to be a great platform. Just wanted to announce something that's going to happen today. And that is Cecil Rucker is going to be playing his vibes at Larchmere Arts this evening, along with Ali Jamal Boyd on drums and yours truly on piano. We're going to do like this trio thing, and we're going to break out and do some spoken word. So it's going to be a nice event. We're going to have an open mic for those who are interested in sharing their wares with the listening audience or the viewing audience. So come on through tonight, 7 o'clock. It's $15 to get in, and I'll have a little something for you to sip on and a little something to chew on, and it's going to be a nice event. So come on through, 12726 Larchmere Boulevard in the heart of the Larchmere Cultural Arts District. Also, just a quick one, if you didn't get your application in yesterday for those ARPA funds, it's too late because the deadline was yesterday. But there's going to be another round of relief funds that are going to come through the city of Cleveland. We are waiting for City Council to make a decision on how much it's going to be. So once we get that information, we'll be rolling it out and letting everyone know about it. So if you didn't get it this time around, perhaps next time around you'll be good. Brother Antonio.
Yes. One other quick announcement. I finally put it together to all our listeners. I've been talking about the men workshop, that men workshop. We're going to be putting it together on October 20th. It's a Thursday evening, October 20th. I guess the place is, we're still kind of up in there. We might have it at the African History Museum. I talked to Francis over there a while back, just got the reminder, but I think it's going to be there. And we're going to have our two residents, personnel, Dr. James Brown and Wayne B. Chandler, will be facilitating that particular workshop. So we want you guys, the men, to come on out and bring some of your sons and your young fellas out there, because we're going to be talking about how to deal with that energy, that internal energy that we need to know about, so that sexual energy, and how it's it could be very detrimental to us in going forward. So it's going to be very, very good. These brothers going to throw down, like they used to do and always do. So we need to be connected to that. That's going to be October 20th. That's a Thursday, so listen out for that. And today we got a great show for you. Show Me the Money. It's a part of our series that I bring you from time to time, talking about our dollars and cents, because, that seems to be high up on the hierarchy is getting our finances together so we can do some of the things that we want to do and maneuver. So we're going to be having Charles Bond on the show today. He's an investment broker. He's with the Cleveland Lending Company. And we're going to talk about some money. People who want to purchase a house or get into that, buying investment property. So we want to get a kind of understanding and seeing how the market is and getting into that whole lending piece. And if you're thinking about purchasing a property or getting into that particular investment arena. So that's what the show is about today. I don't know if Brother Bond is on the line now.
He's on the line. Yeah, he's on the line.
He is?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's on the line? Okay.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, I always doing Brother Bond. I've been doing Brother Bond. We have a little thing. He's Charles Bond. When I call him, I say, 007, how you doing?
That's it. I'm the original.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Yes, well, it's great to have you. You're a little low. I don't know, on my side. You sound a little low as far as your volume is concerned, but
right, okay.
Maybe okay, that's you sounding real good there. Okay.
Okay.
So how's
good?
Yeah, good. How's everything going, brother?
Oh, I'm trying to stay busy and do what I do. Helping out folks move on and get some opportunities to get these homes, or be it investment properties or their primary residence. And most of the time there's always issues, but you know me, I solve things. I don't just stand there and talk.
Well, how long you been in? Let our listeners know how long you've been in the business, Brother Bond.
Going on 30 years now. Another few months, be 30 years, brother.
Whoa, Jack.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a
good ride for me. It's so refreshing for me and for you to know that people can move ahead, if they have the right information. And you've been the source of that for so many years, getting people, your listeners, to understand that there's things out there that they can do that they won't be told other than in this type of forum,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's the objective, to really, bring forth the information that we can use to do something and to better our position. That's what it's all about, because, our people tend to always to not to be in the know, and it usually is detrimental for us. There's an old African proverb that, kind of stick with me when it states that, once the fool has learned the game, the players have dispersed. And we tend to always be, learning something and knowing something last. And then by the time we get a hold to it, it's always too late. The group, changed the game on me. It's too many, and I've seen that done so many times in our society and in our communities. They change the game. Too many of us learning how to do it, and the game changes on us. So, Brother Bob, they normally always say that in the real estate business, because I was in the real estate business for a little stretch.
I recall.
Yeah, for sure. And they say buying a home or a piece of property is probably the largest investment that the average person would purchase in their lifetime. You know what I mean? And over the course of my years and in dealing with it, it's always been an interesting area as far as the African American community and getting into that particular business, because sometimes it always seemed like when people are dealing with construction, it seems like to be a tougher loan, especially for the African American community to get into getting that construction loan. They'd be wanting all kind of docs and be looking at you with 3 or 4 different eyes. You know, you got to put your grandmama's history on some of these applications.
On a piece of paper, yes, sir.
Yeah, you know, in order to get a construction loan, you know. But you know, I'm gonna say this, you know, before we go into our break, I'm gonna say, you know, but you know, go ahead and buy that $60,000-$70,000 car. They give you that loan. You know, but buying a $60,000-$70,000 house back in the day, you know, it seemed like they made you jump a whole lot of hoops.
Not the priority.
Yeah, you know. So, but it's again, it's about changing, you know, our you know, attitudes and changing, you know, the way we go into this whole business realm. You know what I mean? Of getting into those particular areas because we don't know a lot of the things and we tend to get turned around when we try to and turned away when we try to get and purchase things like that. So and we always been lacking as far as the financial aspect of business in our communities. Has always been a lot of our shortcomings, and we usually take the rear when it comes to that. So you guys and your brother Henry Stuttermeyer and what the other Jennifer Valentine, you guys has always been out there for a long time trying to bring this particular type of information to our community. So I always would try to get you guys involved and bringing that information forward. So the market now, before we get into we got about a minute before going to break. So how's the market right now, Brother Bond?
The key thing that's in the market right now is rates are increasing, as even the layman knows. Interest rates are increasing, which has a lot to do with what you just said, but there's a number of ways we can overcome the rates increasing and still buy homes and do other things. And it's all about, in the long run, Brother Hampton, just plan your way. Because you got a ton of money today don't mean you can buy a home. There's other things associated with that. So if you start early and having the desire and plan your way by speaking to someone like myself that can give you the guidance and it doesn't cost you a dime, then you can move yourself toward buying a home, hopefully with us. So hopefully, somewhere out along the way, get it done properly and not be always in this mode that I got to get this done and got that, get this done, and you don't know how to get it done, really. And at the end of the tunnel, you get disappointed. And so all that you said has to do, the underlying thing is to plan. And if you plan, you'll get what you want. What kind of time frame it'll take, who knows, but at least you got a roadmap, and that's what we give you.
Right. Yeah, yes. That is so true there. Yeah, we're going to take our break right now, and we're going to come back and continue this conversation and really get into it. You're listening to WERE 1490. We're talking to my good brother, Charles Bond, from the Cleveland Lending Company, and we're talking about your money. We're going to show you some money and how to get that money and dealing in the real estate arena. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back at you.
Welcome back to 360. Go ahead, bro.
Go ahead, my brother. Go ahead, brother.
Welcome back to 360 Info Network with your hosts, Hamptonio and yours truly, Vince Robinson. We are speaking with Charles Bond, and he is a real estate enthusiast and expert. We're happy to have him aboard this morning. Hamptonio, it's yours.
All righty. Brother Bond, we was, beginning to talk about this whole lending piece of purchasing. So can you take us through a little step-by-step on some of the things that and maybe even some of the pitfalls, too, that people negate to have in place when they going in and looking to make a real estate purchase or an investment purchase, primary or investment? Mm-hmm.
Sure. Just want to clarify, I am a mortgage broker. Been a mortgage broker for all those years. I am the person that will get you approved for a home loan so that you can go ahead and buy whatever it is that you want. And so in that role, it's been a joyful ride to see folks follow a plan, get it done, and in their homes. I always get calls, the thank you type of calls at the end of the tunnel. So let me start by not talking so much, but getting to the details of what it is that's important. 100% of the time, everybody that's looking to buy a home has thought about my credit. And credit is king when you are in a position to want to buy a home. Some people come to the table with a ton of money, but they can't buy a home because they don't have the credit. Credit tells a lender that you have the ability over time, not at this point in time, you have the ability over time to be able to pay our mortgage off. And that's what they're looking for. They're going to make money and you're going to have your home. And so if you come to the table thin with funds, but you're still able to buy a home because you have good credit, it still can possibly work. But if you have all this bad credit history and all the things on there which shows across the board that you have missed payments and so forth, an underwriter is going to get frightened and turn you down before you even begin the process. So most people nowadays know that credit is the thing they have to do. And what I see a lot of folks trying to do because of the Internet and the things you see on it is trying to get your credit in order. Oh, man, I'm going to get my credit in order, then I can buy a home. Maybe, maybe not. So what we have addressed and what I have addressed personally over the years is to tell people specifically what to do. You call me and tell you specifically what to do to get your credit in order, and it does not cost you anything to get that information. And we put it in writing. And if you follow the plan that we put out there, then there's a good chance that you are going to be in a position to buy a home. How long will be up to the person that I'm talking to. So credit is the important thing. I want to point out really right now two things that's important in dealing with credit. Do not, at no time, if you're trying to do it yourself or have done it in the past, dispute things through the various systems that are out there for you to dispute, including people that are in the so-called business of credit repair. If you have just a word dispute on any line item of credit that you have, you will probably be turned down. And that is universal. No matter how much money you have in the bank, dispute, just a word, dispute on a given line item. You got a Capital One card or you got a credit card of some kind or a medical bill or whatever. I'm giving you the information now. Do not put something out there in writing that you are disputing it. There's other ways to do that and still achieve the same goal. We will talk to you if you call and tell you some of those ways in which you can get those off. Also, do not be afraid of medical bills. At no time in the history of my being in this business have we looked at medical bills as something that's going to stop you from buying a home. There's a clear understanding that people get sick and you got a whole conglomerate of bills on your credit for medical. Leave them alone. Do not pay them off until such time you talk to me, and I'll tell you how to deal with medical bills, and you can still have a home owing medical bills. The next thing that has come very, very prevalent among our community is student loans. We know there's a whole big issue of people who are now professionals or people who tried to go to school have a ton of student loans owing on their credit. There are and have been issues in the past where they've been deferred and so forth. And in my industry, we did not have to count anything associated with your student loans. Nowadays, in the past 10 years or so, we have a way in which we have to count student loans because under the default programs and so forth, there were many defaults on student loans where you didn't pay them, you bought the car, you bought the house, but you left the student loans alone that you were supposed to pay. This is after the deferment period is over. So you want to have these things as part of your strategy in terms of your planning. Credit is always first. Second is having money in the bank. Set up a program, a plan where you have money in the bank. I'm going to give you some parameters. If we were targeting you to have a FHA loan, you would need 3.5% of your purchase price as down payment set aside in your bank. If, in fact, you have a 401k or some of the other programs that's out there that you can withdraw money from, it's allowable to get money from those 6 sources to help you buy a home. So under FHA, it's 3.5%. Why did I mention FHA first? Because most of the people that I have qualify for FHA. Less intense in terms of credit, less money to put down on a home. There are other programs out there. Conventional loan, you need 5% down, but for sure you do need much cleaner credit and credit history. 5% down will get you a conventional loan. What's the difference? On the conventional lending, you'll pay probably less money over time because your interest rate will be typically lower. And so with these programs here, these are the typical ones that I see people qualifying to get in, but you have to start the planning. Job time, very important as well. You want to have, in any instance, at least a 2-year job history of working. Any gaps in employment is going to be looked at not negatively. We can explain them off, such as a pregnancy, such as a layoff, such as a COVID, any type of thing like that. We're going to look at that and just get an explanation. But around all of that, we have to see the whole balance of credit and money in the bank and so forth. So if your planning says that you got laid off 2 or 3 months ago and you just found work, we can get through that sometimes, or we have to wait until you have a cumulative 2-year history, not from now, but let's say you were a factory worker and you were laid off 3 months ago and you return to that same industry now. We may very well say, okay, it's just one of those things where he or she couldn't find a job, but now they're working in the same industry and they're making more money or something on that order. We can easily put you through a process where, you're not going to be penalized or have to go have a 2-year history of working. These are some of the things, Antonio, that, I see very often. People get afraid to even call because typically in most avenues of banking, they're not going to allow for things that mortgage brokers like us can do. And so by making that call to us, you can easily get an understanding of what you need to do and then start on the road. And we'll be able to tell you also at the same time, based on your income, what price range your home you'll qualify to buy with all things being in place down the road. And so you have a roadmap. And so that's what most people need, Antonio, to get started in the home ownership piece. And so I hope I was able to, in a short fashion, because we got other things you wanted me to talk about,
right.
we can get people positioned to buy, our people in particular.
Right. Yeah. Very good, Brother Bond. Just one thing couple things I want you to touch on, and then we go for those investors who want to get into the investment property, get into the traditional loans and the non-traditional loans. What kind of documents and how that whole different diversity of trying to obtain a loan is about. I just want to backtrack a little bit and throw a few. When we talked about credit, that our listeners, I'm sure you got a plan on how to go about getting your credit together over a certain period of time. A lot of times our people don't know. I'm speaking a little bit of it because, like I said, I was in the business, but, right. Being an authorized user or, and trying to rebuild your credit, or our young folks, this is a secret that people used to do, other folks and other ethnic groups used to do all the time, for their young ones and jumpstarting them and getting their credit together, making them an authorized user on your credit card. You ain't got to give them a card if they're irresponsible. Don't let them have it, but that's one way of getting them and turning your credit around. Putting $1,000 in the bank and borrowing against that $1,000 and paying it back is another way of building your credit up and getting you together. And then, Brother Bond, how far as monies is concerned, do they look down on you as far as getting that gift money when you trying to put your money? Does that hurt you in getting the gift, or do they still accept gift letters as far as down payment is concerned?
No, I would just like to flip that script a bit in what you said. Believe it or not, what you said in the beginning introduction, what used to be when we get in the game no longer is the case. So that being said, authorized user accounts now are good. They do help. But there's some tweaks in the authorized user thing that underwriters look at that may say yeah or no. So I'm just putting that out there. But again, our guests, our people can give me a call. I'll explain all that because that has to do with credit too. So yeah, that was prevalent way back 10, 15 years ago. Do that, fine, boom, credit goes up and you're good. Now it's sort of modified in a way, but not something that cannot be helpful to a given client.
Okay.
And so in terms of the gift, gifts are totally acceptable even now. However, the gifts have to have a paper trail to them that used not be. And so, therefore, if you are an uncle or an aunt, and truly an uncle or an aunt, underwriters have a right to say, prove it. Used not be, because there's been so much abuse of that. There used to be the case where a friend would be able to give you a gift and it was acceptable. Now, the gift has to be from a bona fide relative. Okay, and so therefore it's a more stringent requirement than it used to be. Just all we had to do was see the money in the bank coming from the so-called gift giver, and you're fine. Now it has to be from a relative, and the underwriter has a right to ask, prove it. Sometimes they don't. So I just wanted to let you know that things have changed.
Okay. Of course. When we get what I said in the beginning, when we get into the game, we change. But go ahead.
That's it, guaranteed.
And okay, so with the investment with the traditional and non-traditional loans, can you kind of break that down? So yeah,
let's go through the traditional, which most investors do not take advantage of because the rules have become so stringent. The traditional investment loans is where a self-employed borrower, which is the investor a lot of times, can go in and they have to show tax returns and other sources of income, show bank statements that they have the money and have credit that's, 700 and all that kind of thing. And, you can walk into any place you want, look at it, and buy it if you have all the qualifications. Traditional credit is still out there for folks to take advantage of, and the interest rates on those things are low, and typically your down payment on traditional is going to be around 20%, 15-20%. And so that's out there. But what's more prevalent now is non-traditional credit. It used to be called, and it's still somewhat called, hard money, but not hard money in the traditional sense where you have super high interest rates and all that. That's still out there. It's at the other end of the spectrum, however, for investors. But the non-traditional credit, as I determine it and define it, is that credit where, in particular, you have an investor that has money in the bank. They have credit and credit score range of, say, 650 and up. And if they're self-employed, they do not have to show any kind of income information at all. No pay stubs, no tax returns, no 1099s, nothing. They do have to have, however, an entity that you can get done from the state of Ohio or any state called an LLC, Limited Liability Corporation. That is a requirement for most of the transactions that I see out there that is being done by investors. So why do they need an LLC? It's because you, the member of that LLC or company, is now the responsible party that guarantees the loan for the LLC. The LLC is the entity that the property that you're buying, it'll be in the LLC's name. And you become the guarantor of anything going through the LLC. So the mortgage will be in the LLC's name, and the entity, the LLC, whatever income you're coming in with, is through the LLC. And so you're just the guarantor. Your credit is run, obviously, because the LLC don't have no credit, and that's what qualifies you. And so if you have the credit and you have the funds in the bank and you have the LLC, pretty much you can get an investment property. Now, there's many forms of investment activity out there now. Should I go through that, Antonio?
Yeah, you can take a little time on it, yes.
Okay. The most prevalent one right now is the people that are out there across the country, and people are coming into the Cleveland area big time because things here, relatively speaking, are fairly inexpensive compared to if you're in New York, California, Michigan, Texas, whatever. And so I got clients that's in Vancouver, Canada, believe it or not, way on the west coast of Canada, coming into Cleveland, buying up 3, 4, 10 properties at a time, coming in with big money. And we're sitting here and letting it go, and we're paying them rent and so forth, so on. And but it's here for us too, and hopefully our listeners will take into what I'm saying. Take your notes, call me, whatever, if you want to be an investor, and I'll give you the pointers. So let me tell you some of the things that's needed in this arena. After you have the LLC and so forth, so on, what I see going on is what we call fix and flip transactions. You buy a distressed home, nobody can move in it because it's not livable, and you buy that home, say, for $30,000, or let's say $60,000 because that's the threshold now. You buy it for $60,000, and you need another $40,000 to fix it up. So that's $100,000 that you put into this home. And the lending groups that I have, the lending people that I have, will give you the money to buy it as is and give you the money to fix it up. So all you do at the end of the tunnel, you start with this mortgage. This mortgage is associated, in my example, $100,000. And so if you're fixing this property up and you're able to fix it up in 3 months, now you have the ability to sell it to a bona fide buyer who has to be pre-approved with their normal standards or whatever that they qualify for. But this home that you now put $100,000 in may be worth $140,000, $150,000. And so in the sale that you make 3 months after buying it, or 4, or whatever time it takes you to fix it up, you've made that kind of money. That's what's going on in the industry right now. It's one of the hot projects that's there. A lot of stuff going on. People from all over the country are doing it in their communities and in Cleveland, and it makes a whole lot of investors some money. So they turn these properties, fairly quickly. And, again, it's a way in which you can make money as an investor, fix and flip. You can look it up on the internet and see a lot of things going on with fix and flip transactions. Another transactions that investors are going through with is buying multiple unit properties to fix and flip. Not fix and flip, to fix and hold. Why? Because they're in the mode of wanting to have renters. And so you have the same thing, buy 2 families, 3 families, 4 families, 5 families, whatever it is, fix it up. And now you have the ability to bring in renters. And if it requires renovations, you get the money for the renovations, 100% of the renovations. And you get the money to buy it as is. In both these examples, the key element that's there that I didn't mention was you need a contractor that is experienced in doing renovations, because the lender is wanting to see up front.
You have a caller named Todd on the line.
I'm sorry?
Mm-hmm. Good. Go ahead.
A lender is wanting to see the renovations you need, bona fide contract and so forth. They will check them out to make sure they are not unscrupulous and all the rest of stuff, but that's part of that process as well. Should I keep going?
Oh, that's good. We want to let Brother Vince into this conversation if he got anything to add or a question. Sure. And then we have a call on the line as well. Go ahead, Vince. You got anything?
Well, I was just curious about the impact that companies like BlackRock and others that are scarfing up single-family units and some of those other units are having on the real estate market in general. That may be something that Brother Charles could speak to or perhaps not. But one of the burning issues right now is the fact that there are companies that are acquiring properties and they are outbidding people who are trying to purchase properties, and as a result, there's just an imbalance in the real estate market. So, insight on that, I'd be happy to take the answer after we take the call from Brother Todd. I'm sure he's been trying to get through. So, Todd, you're on the air. Your question, your comment, please.
Hey, Vince. Hey, Antonio. Charles Bond, can you hear me okay?
Brother Bond? Oh, I don't know if we lost him.
Can you hear me, Charles Bond?
I don't know that we have Mr. Bond on the air, but you can ask the question.
And then when he calls back, we'll make sure you get the question.
Well, I could wait.
Okay.
Is he see him calling back at all, Vince?
I can't tell. Tone, is Charles back on with us?
I'm on. I'm
okay.
here.
All right. So,
okay. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
So, Todd, you had a question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the question of the larger LLCs buying up multiple homes, that's something that's been going on for the past 2 or 3 years, big time. And they're coming in from out of town, have a lot of money being put in because they have multiple sources of getting funds. Quiet as it's kept and not so quiet as it's kept. Cleveland is going to be a growth marketplace not too distant future, whereby these homes are going to be going that used to be there and worth $60,000. They may be worth $160,000, $200,000. So they're being purchased now by these groups, and the outlook is that they're going to be gentrifying, as we know about in other parts of the country. And so what I see is that we have the ability right now, because we're here, to do the same type of things, but we have no company that I know of that wants to pool money and be able to do the same thing, but we're here local. And so they're going to come into town, do their thing, and it's all legal. Ain't nobody stopping them. And that's what's going on.
And gobble up everything. Yeah. Go ahead, Brother Todd. We got a call at Brother Bond. He wants to ask you a question.
Charles Bond, you can hear me okay?
I sure can.
Okay. Some of this is from me, and some of this is questions that other people I know have been inquiring about. From me, I have interest in a double lot. There's 2 lots that are traditionally the same traditional sizes for lots in Cleveland, 40 wide, 120 deep, and they're right next door to one another. So I want to build a 2,600 to 3,000 square foot home there. Okay. So I come to you, and I'm like, this is how much money I have up front, and this is how much money I have to complete the project. I don't want to have to use all of my money to complete the project, but I have it. In addition to you doing your actual job, which is helping somebody get loans for the purchase and the construction of the property, do you also have connections to people who do the actual work that you can put somebody in touch with, that you know their work, the constructor's work, and afterward the stocking of the home and lining up any other legalities that may need to be done for the person to complete the project, not just in structure and purchase, but in other necessities of a homeowner. Can you help with things other than that? Like, do you know black construction companies that you could speak for their speak for their credibility?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Don't have many, but I do have some, and I can guarantee you they're busy. Okay. However, they can put you they can come out and see the nature of the project that you're trying to, or draw up plans associated with what you're trying to do. But in terms of getting them, when I first started out by talking about planning, you have to plan. It sounds like you got a plan, and we can talk more about what your plan is. But yes, I do know people like that. Buying the land itself becomes equity for you, so that when you need down payment for making the entire construction, say you put $20,000 in a property and just buying a piece of land, that $20,000 is now equity for you, which is applied to your down payment.
So it sounds like this is a conversation that needs to resume when you contact Brother Charles. Brother Charles, if you could give your contact information, and then we'll move towards break.
Sure. My telephone number is 216 area code 346-6856. Charles Bond. Be glad to help.
346. We're going to break. We're going to break. So we'll have to move that. Give us a phone number again. 346.
6856.
6856. That's 216-346-6856.
Correct.
Okay. Charles Bond, mortgage broker, and he's going to make sure that Todd gets the information that he needs to develop that property. You're listening to 360 Info Network right here on AM 1490 WERE. Your hosts are Hamtonio and Vince Robinson. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to 360 Info Network with Hamtonio and Vince Robinson. Our guest is Charles Bond. He is a mortgage broker, and he is dropping the 411 on how you can acquire a property and how you can profit from acquiring that property. Brother Hamtonio.
Yes, we can just let Brother Bond continue. That was some good information that people need to know. I know lenders, a lot of times, they want to see what you got into, what you have invested into the mortgage purchasing procedure. What skin you got in the game, as they say. So that's always helpful as well. So I guess that's why they take those whole parameters on down payment, credit, and things like that to see what kind of skin you have in the game. And I think you made a good point that our listeners need to understand too. Is it more favorable when, let's say, with that job situation or the job gap, I guess getting a job that's in the same industry that you was working in, and is that helpful? And then
yes, it is. Yes. That's very favorable. If you are a computer person and you became a nurse, that's a whole different industry. But if the job gap had to do with you finding another job in the computer industry, in my example, that works real nice.
I see. And what about like when the part-time, I got a full-time and I get a part-time. When does that part-time job kind of helps? Is there a certain time limit you got to be on that part-time before they use that as an extra income?
Good question. It has to be in place 2 years. Part-time work has to be in place 2 years in order for us to count that as income.
Mm-hmm. And people need to know they can use all those little extra nuances of income that they like from the child support, how that works, child support and bonuses and all.
Any kind of report, retirement income, all of that can be counted as definitely legit. And as quite as is kept, what we call gross up. We take, say, if you're getting $100 as an example, we gross it up 25%. So now we'll count your income from that source, child support and all the rest, at $125. So it is a good source of income. It's stable. We know it's stable, so it does not cause any problem in terms of qualifying a person with that kind of income.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Brother Hamtonio, we have another caller on the line.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ronnie, welcome to 360 Info Network. Your call is regarding a question or a comment. What's your question or comment?
I was just wondering, now there's certain areas that's being targeted for these bigger companies buying homes and renting them out or whatever?
You said, are they? So yeah, they're definitely being targeted for sure, and they're buying up lumps of lots, where they're available, or become available. And so,
is there certain areas you say? Is there certain areas that seem like they going for more than others, or what?
Oh no, what I think the gentleman is asking about is just land. The land that's being. But if it's properties, yeah, they're going anywhere something is available for rent or fixing and flipping. And so most of it has to do with, right now, buying properties that already exist, going to the land bank, getting homes dirt cheap, fixing them up, and renting them out and or selling them.
I think he was looking for perhaps geographic information. For instance, are you seeing more of this on the east side of Cleveland versus the west side of Cleveland? Are there specific areas perhaps in the country where areas are being targeted?
Okay. In terms of Cleveland area, I'd say the east side is very much a target for most of the activity that we're talking about. In other parts of the country, we've seen that Detroit is another area that is out there. These older cities that have properties built in the early 1900s is what they're typically targeting, but I can't say that's the whole scheme of things. I don't know the whole scheme of things, but again, the older homes is what they're after, and refurbishing them or building up. Where I come from, Brooklyn, New York, it goes crazy. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Where it used to be all dilapidated properties after a while. Now that I was just there 2 weeks ago for a family reunion, and it's just built up now. I mean, and other folks are in there. Or if we're in there, we're paying far more money than we used to.
Yeah, that's true, because I live in the Glenville area, and a home near me that was renting out for about $400 or $500 a month was bought by a company, and now they're rent and fixed up, and they're renting it out for $1,100 a month.
Oh yeah, and they're getting it, Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, so that's the activity that's going on. Does not mean that you wanted to get into that mode that you can't. You just got to be bidding, knowing how to bid properly, and getting those homes, because they're out there for you too. But you just got to know the whole game.
Right.
All right. We appreciate you, Ronnie, for calling in. Yeah.
Reach me if you want to call me.
Would you say something, Ronnie?
No, I think Ronnie has been disconnected.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Brother Bond, for Escapes is on this whole. So it's good to be in a position of strength. And what I mean by that, going out there, is, give you that level of comfortability of being that whole pre-qualified piece, How does that look, and what does a person have to bring to you to get you in that I know you pre-qualify them or pre-approved. That's what I'm wanting to make.
Yeah, and the investor marketplace is easy in terms of the documentation, the LLC, money in the bank, and credit. The LLC, you could have started the LLC yesterday. So there's not a lot of qualifications associated with the investor marketplace of the type that I'm talking about. And so, it's fairly easy. What the difficult part is, first finding the home and getting a good contractor that can be out there to say, okay, I'm going to give you a bona fide, computerized listing of all the things needing to be done with this house to bring it up to code or whatever it has to be. That's what the difficult part is. Not a lot of contractors out there that I know about that can stick to their word, so forth. And that's where the longest part of the process comes in at. You buy a home today, you may have to wait 3 or 4 months before the thing is completed. I can't say why, but I see it. And I'm not indicting the contractors out there. There's some of them are good, and the good ones are typically busy. They're typically busy. So they can see the home today, give you a quotation, but they may not be able to start for 2 or 3 months. So that's why the planning is so important. Planning to get what you want and having the time to get it done. On my side, when I give a pre-approval, I can tell the seller of that home we need 60 days. We need 120 days. And typically, because they're anxious to sell and they got a bona fide buyer from me, they say fine, and they go with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good. Well, Brother Bond, again, I think you dropped a lot of good information for our listeners, and that is the road to, some financial freedom. Real estate has always been there. And I see the sad part of it, always, see how it's affecting the African-American community and where we are as a people, and these companies coming in and gentrifying everything and owning everything. That's not good for us. And that's why we have to, as black folks, get our consciousness together, and that's why I always speak on culture and culture unity. We around here separate doing things together, but we need to form these companies and trust one another and pool our money together and do the same thing, because we're going to be on the outside looking in again.
Talking my language, brother. Sure enough. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because this is a shame what's going on, and it's going on right up underneath our nose. I mean, I probably get 3 or 4 calls a day asking me about, do I want to sell? Do I want to sell? And these brothers sitting on these dollars and cents, they can't work together because of one thing or another, trust or whatever. We have to get to this point of pulling these dollars together and doing some things, for our community. But Brother Vaughn, we only got a couple minutes. Give our listeners your contacts and things like that, so they can be able to, move forward.
Charles Bond, Cleveland Lending Group. Telephone is 216-346-6856. My office is 3691 Lee Road in Shaker Heights, down there, corner of Harvard, and between the other side, Sugar Inn Boulevard. Be glad to help you. Just give a call, and it will take as much time to point you in the right direction.
All right, Brother Bond. I appreciate you coming on and sharing that information. Like I said, I think it was a wealth of knowledge as usual, and keep on keeping on, my brother. And, it's always a pleasure, okay?
Always a pleasure for me as well. You know that. Talk to you.
Yes, talk to you, my brother. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right. We appreciate it. Yeah, I'm glad he was able to come on and drop that, because it's all about dollars and cents a lot of times, Brother Vince. So, we got to really get our financial picture together. That's one of the pillars that Brother Claude Anderson always talked about, is the economic pillar in our community is very important. So, again, y'all, I got to report it. The Journey with Antonio is finally launched. Go ahead and click on the few videos that I put on, just introducing the channel and what it's going to be about, and my first interview with Brother T.O. and more. So check it out, subscribe, hit the notification, and also look out for our men's workshop on October 20th. It might be at the African Museum, so tune in for that. Brother Vince.
All right. Don't forget tonight at Larchmere Arts, it's going to be a percussion extravaganza, vibraphones, drums, and piano, and the spoken word, and an open mic for those who are interested in sharing their gifts with the Cleveland audience. You can stop by tonight. It's going to start at 7 o'clock, and we're going to have some light refreshments. It's $15. You can Cash App $THASOULPOET if you would like to make a reservation in advance. Also, passive income is a possibility for you. We've been talking about how to add your dollars and cents and be able to acquire real estate property. Well, you can use compound interest to your advantage, and you can get paid on a weekly basis. If you're interested in finding out how you're able to do that, all you have to do is text cash flow to 216-780-2470. That's 216-780-2470. You can text cash flow to that telephone number, and you'll get clued in and plugged in. Trust me, it works. It's working beautifully. I'd like to thank our engineer, Tone, for bringing everything together for us, and we'd like to thank you for listening once again to 360 Info Network. Know yourself, love yourself, be yourself, make today your best day. Peace.
Peace.